Yo, this is the Ancient Texan. Um, Today I'm 78, 12, 27, 47. I want to kind of take a look back at my life. Not so much my life, but the country that I've grown up in um, that has slowly evolved over the decades that I've been here. I want to have a podcast that I think something that is fundamentally wrong with the U.S. Um, we we have chosen to live in abstraction instead of the real world, and I'll try to do my best to try to sort this out because I'm still muddling around in my own head exactly what I'm trying to say. When I grew up, people that worked in a copper smelter or that plumber or a mechanic actually could make a pretty good living. They could buy a house, they could raise a family of kids, send all the kids off to school and even off to college. Can't do that now. When I grew up, there was still um, a lot of pride for someone that got their hands dirty. Uh, I worked in a job like being a mechanic or a plumber or dug ditches. Hard work and effort was what mattered. They lived in the physical world, not on models, not on social media. The common man lived in the physical world and he had a pretty good life. We have become a nation that does everything in the abstraction. For instance, right now we just had a split. China's been buying up all the silver, and we've been running all the, you know, financial programs that allow you to buy and sell silver. Well, it turns out COMEX, the silver exchange, didn't actually have all the silver that they were trading, and they got away with that for decades, all on a computer. Well, this week, shit's hitting the fan, and all of a sudden, people realize they don't really have all the silver sitting here in the American banks. Um, and silver prices going through the roof. They need silver for building photovoltaic cells, windmills, electric vehicles. Uh, Silver lets you make a solder that makes good electrical contacts. But we don't actually, we make things that simulate, like ETFs, electron trading, something or the other. But you can do an ETF on anything. You can pretend you're trading corn or silver or gold or whatever the hell you want to trade because they put this ETF tracks the price of whatever you want to trade, and it you kind of have a fake uh, relationship with whatever you're trading. They do a simulation, and you're buying into the simulation, which is, if you think about it, just kind of crazy. When I grew up, In America, my first really good job was at a smelter. We had smelters and mines and refineries, and we did stuff that made physical things. I worked in the first layer that made metals. We made stuff. We had real relationships and conversations in person, and we called each other. Engineers were as valuable as lawyers. They were more valuable. We made stuff. We had plumbers versus tax advisors. We had supply chains instead of AI. We had cash instead of debt. We had gold instead of crypto. We had manufacturing instead of services. But what we've done in this modern world is we've taken all the things that we think are too dirty, that get your hand dirty, and we've moved them overseas. We let someone else do the dirty work. We didn't need to do the dirty work. We could just do all the nice, shiny stuff on top with computers. AI is the current insanity, and I like AI. I'm using it already, and I would say that I'm, easily in the top 10% of people that use AI and know how to use it. But AI will never make a pound of, of copper or grow corn. It may help you squeeze, a little more, uh, bushels per acre or however you measure it, or, you know, ounces of milk from a cow. But if you don't have the cow in the first place, AI can't do anything for you. If you don't have a supply chain, you can't optimize it with AI. We've gone completely into the abstraction, and no one has noticed that we don't have the physical things. You can't build a bridge with AI. Not in my backyard is the attitude that's pushed our industry overseas. And it's also the attitude that's driven schism, uh, made working people and educated people on two different sides of the political issue. We've built a class system. This is obnoxious, uh, self righteous. We don't do dirty stuff, we just do clean stuff here. It's like why there's more homeless in California, even though it's the richest state in the in our country. It's one of the richest places in the world, and yet they have more homeless. Why is that? There's an attitude behind that. Don't let someone build an apartment in my neighborhood because it devalues my home and I am more important and self righteous than those homeless people. Of course, they don't say that, but that's that's exactly what we've done in this country. We've become snobs. Educated people have become snobs and think they're more important than the hardworking people. We've become snobs and decided that we don't mess with those dirty smelters that make smoke and It's and it's coming around to bite our ass. China, for the first time, had $1 trillion more exports than imports. Of course, what they're doing makes no sense either. They're over on the other end of the spectrum. We need some balance in our life. We need both. We need the educated people and the computer simulations and the models that help us build the real world, but never get mixed up that all that abstract stuff on social media and Facebook, it's not, I guess it is life to some people, but it's a sad life compared to the life that I remember as a child when connections were people that you could touch and hug and kiss, have affairs with. You could also raise your kids and see them growing up and uh, believe they were going into a world that was going to be better than uh, the world we grew up in. But that's not turning out to be true. Our kids are not going into a better world. And I think the fundamental problem is that we've lost touch with the physical world, what's real. We forget the computer simulation, the AI, its value is in optimizing something that's real. We put more value in building AI data centers than we do in building supply chains. But guess what? The person that holds commands the supply chain, they hold your physical well-being in their hand. This may be, I'm an engineer, so you know, if if my ideas are not sound, the thing doesn't work. And I've worked in R&D and I've had a lot of stuff that doesn't work. Um, and I understand very well the difference between an idea, an abstract, a model, and the bridge keep standing, the process actually making magnesium. We have these stories and ideas in our head. We have to always remember that they're not real, they're a simulation. Our brain does a simulation of the world. Computers enhance our simulations. But at the end of the day, there's a hard physical reality. We've got so caught up in the abstraction that we can't make the hard choices that we need for reality. What's this nonsense of permits taking 20 years in our country? A permit is a decision. Someone has to make a decision that affects the physical world. When it stretches out to 20 years, it's not making a decision, it's the inability to decide on something that's physical and real, and you have to make hard choices and trade offs. Everything is a trade off. And we've lost the ability to recognize the difference between the abstraction and the reality. We won't pull our country out till we out from the mess that we've got it in until we recognize that difference. Debt is a form of abstraction. It's pretending we have the money to do stuff when we don't. Our federal debt and the people that just voted for tax cuts, mostly Republicans, but Democrats have done it too. This is not just 4 years that we've been doing this. This is decades and worse. every decade. I think Clinton was the last person to have a, you know, balanced budget. The old Clinton. That was a strange configuration of him as a Democrat and uh, Republicans controlling the House and Senate, I think. And he made a compromise, and the compromise they made between the two sides was better than either side could do alone. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, and this is hard to believe, but until both sides are working together, we're screwed. Because all we do right now is posturing. It's more of this make believe world uh, that we pretend is real. Each side wants to make the other side look bad, some kind of drama, but it's pure nonsense. We're not going to pay back our debt with that kind of attitude. And if we don't pay back our debt, we're going to be increasingly poor. We've developed the ability to move all the money up to the top. So there's a group of people in our country that have a lot of money to do stuff and do R&D and invent stuff. That's not all bad. That's good. But again, it's a matter of balance. And right now, we're out of balance. We're letting people become trillionaires while other people don't have food or health care or a house to live in or a way to get to work. And we built a country that you can't get to work without a car. So we've got this mess, and it's taken us my whole lifetime to lose control of, 95% of the supply chains in the world. And that might not matter if we had perfectly good relationships with China and Russia, but we don't. That again is a make believe world. It's not reality. So to have a real world where people have real futures, we have to focus on doing more physical stuff and less abstract. And I think what brings that into focus is thinking about supply chains. Because when you think about how to make a supply chain, you have to think from the ground to the sky to make a F 35 jet. It starts out in the ground. And most supply chains, especially on the mineral side, where I know something about it, it starts in the ground and it takes a lot of know how, a lot of computer models and calculations. But at the end of the day, you got to put a shovel in the ground. So, what I'm asking for on my 78th birthday, and if you're going to ask me for any wisdom, I think we need to move away from the abstract and move toward the real. We need to get our hands dirty and accept the fact that it's going to take hard work for decades to get out of the mess that we've got ourselves into. This is the Ancient Texan. Hoping you have a good one. Namaste.